I don't think Peter Obi fought enough for his mandate. In the 2023 election, I was fully obedient. I wanted Obi to win the election. I started stopping from the end of the last election because I didn't like the way the last election ended. I know he took it to the Supreme Court, but there should have been a lot more like facts. But in my mind, what was the final key nail to his coffin was when he left Labour Party for ADC. It was so disappointing to me. I can't put in words. You took a party in 2019 elections. Labour Party had 111 votes for presidential election. You took that party from 111 votes in my federal constituency to 78,000 votes and won my federal constituency. Right? You built that momentum then. Let's say you are rigged out. I'm one of the people who believe that a lot of shenanigans happened in the last elections. And let's assume that I understand him not trying to go my way and starting a protest might divide the country, might cause loss of life. So even though I would still I prefer him to do that, I'm more radical. I would prefer people have to fight. I don't think freedom is something that you get for free. As in that, yes, there's no freedom that has been gotten that's not on the bloods of people. I know it's easy to say it's not my blood, but it's how I believe. So he might even be right on that, and that's why I didn't say that was his death coffin. But now you are now in the position where it was clear to even the blind that you are going to run for office come 2027. Does anybody think that Tinubu in that position is going to start changing parties? He's not going to start following Atiku to another party. Who should be following who? You are trying to solve Nigeria's problem. Say, as Nigeria get problem reach.
But a party problem
and you say struggle to solve
a common
party problems. It's not showing me a sign of somebody that is really thinking deeply and saying, I'm going to really solve this problem. Because if you are really serious about it, as you lose that last election, bam, you are putting... These guys are not serious. As in, all of them, sometimes I believe all of them are in the same WhatsApp group and they're just deceiving Nigerians.
Hi guys, so welcome to another episode on Talk Point Studios. Over here, we bring you interesting conversations, real life stories and experiences. Over here, we don't care about your school of thought. We don't discriminate. Anything you are interested in sharing, come and share it with us on Talk Point Studios. So on today's episode, we have yet another amazing and interesting conversation with our wonderful guest, Dr. Ifeoluwa. Welcome to Talk Point Studios, sir.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
So, before we continue, don't forget to follow us on our social media and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course here on YouTube where you are watching this video on. So, and there's someone sponsoring this episode, and Luxury Cars. So they are a automobile company. They are specialized in selling foreign used cars and locally used cars. So if you want to be our guest, you know what to do. Just reach out to us on our official email address, talkpointstudios@gmail.com. And if you have maybe a story or you want to partner with us, also reach out to us on our official email address, talkpointstudios@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us, click the subscribe button. Now let's get into this episode. So, Dr. Ifeoluwa, welcome.
Thank you.
So I will want you to introduce yourself briefly before we continue.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name, as you've said, is Ifeoluwa Wole-Osho. I am the founder and CEO of 4,000 Years Limited. I'm also the PRP House of Rep candidate representing Alimosho Federal Constituency. I teach, I lecture, I am a farmer. So I do different things. So basically that's it.
That's nice. So now, what bettered your interest in politics? Because I know a lot of people, if you are watching this episode, unless you are seeing it on the caption, this is a political related conversation. So what bettered your interest in politics? And in general, what's your view on politics? Let's start from there.
Well, I can't really say what bettered my interest in politics.
I mean, you are a young man. Okay, let's say less than 50. So, and most of our
Even less than
generation.
40. But
Okay, okay, let's say less than. So, if you are less than
okay.
40, it means you are even actually closer to Gen Z, all right? So, and for our generation, up to recently, we have a lot of political apathy. The youths are not interested in politics. So, seeing at least a young person, someone who is not old, having interest in politics, ambitions, and all of that. So, what bettered that? At least there must be a drive for that.
Well, I have to say, it started with my father. He's
Okay.
like most fathers, he's a news junkie. He would watch the news. News is the only thing. Once he's at home, there's no other thing that you're watching that you watch the news. So
Yeah.
you start off by watching the news.
Yes,
And I didn't I'm naturally I think I'm one of those few people who are naturally inclined to just like politics. I like the game. I like the fact that it's a finite game. So there's a good book, I've forgotten the name of the author. It's called Finite and Non-Finite Games. And the idea behind it is that there are games that are supposed to be infinite. So let's take the Premier League, for instance.
Okay.
The Premier League is supposed to be an infinite game. For people who Premier League is football, so for people who don't understand football, it's like, so the idea is that the Premier League should never end.
Yeah.
There should be next season, there should be next season, there should be next season. But inside it, you have to play finite games. So one particular season is a finite game.
Okay.
That game must end. We must know a winner, we must know a loser. And politics is in the same kind of breath. Even though it's infinite, it has finite games inside. Every election cycle, they must know a winner. They must know a winner. Scores are getting kept. Who scored the most votes? Who scored the least votes? So there's a game theory part of it that's very interesting. And also, I think that I said this before on a different podcast, but unfair of us to not invest in something and expect results from it. And I'm one of the people who believe that politics should be second only to religion, because if you do not participate, do not be surprised that the people that are participating are reaping the rewards of participating.
Yeah.
So in my mind, you don't have to run for office, but as soon as you become an adult, as soon as you start paying taxes and you start paying your rent, you better join a political party. Doesn't mean you should run for office, but
so it just means you should be politically responsible.
You should be as you are financially responsible, as you are religiously responsible, you should be politically responsible, because there are people who are when they are choosing people who are going to be governors, they're not going to pick somebody outside the political party to make a governor. When they are choosing who is going to be a councillor, even the smallest office, you have to be a party member. And even if you're not a party member, there are things that happen inside a political party that will be completely different if different kind of ideologies and minds are making the decision. So if there's a party now that's filled with 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, and 40-year-olds, it will be completely different from a party that is filled with 70-year-olds, 60-year-olds, and 80-year-olds, because the way of thinking is going to be different. And we cannot impose our thinking on a process that we are not participating in. So in my mind, because of my family, my dad, my granddad, all of they were not involved in politics. They never ran for office, but they were always putting tabs on what is happening. And so with that, I grew the interest. During my undergraduate, I was able to run for. So during my undergraduate, I ran for the president of I studied physics. So I was the president of the physics department in my school.
That was the faculty or departmental president.
Departmental president. And I did that during undergraduate, and then I did my postgraduate in Cyprus, and I also ran for office. I ended up being like the Nigerian Student Union president. So, it's a foreign school, so it's not, the Nigerian Student Union president is not as big as being a student union president in like Uniben or Unilag. But at the time, we had about 10,000 Nigerians in the entire school, and so I was president of that amount of people. And so I've always liked politics.
No, I mean, that's really profound. Someone came here, like, all of us know him, Idris. So he said something. He said, how did he say? He said, politics and governance influence all areas of our life, even without knowing. If he went further to say that politics and the government will decide who you will marry. So what that tells us is that everybody needs to be actively involved in politics. You need to be involved in politics. So I do resonate with what you are saying, and it makes a lot of sense. So now you were saying that you wanted to run for the position of the House of Rep in Alimosho Local Government, Lagos. So why do you want to run for that position, and why do you feel let me hear why do you want to run for the position of the House of Representative member?
Well, let's start with, I think that over the next 3 and 4 election cycles, all the most famous names we know in politics today will no longer exist. Like Atiku, 20 years, 4 election cycles, 16 years. I don't think he's alive. He's around. Oh my God, I'm not taking planes with that. But I just, he's an old man. My dad passed 2 years ago, and it gives you a sense of perspective that death is like inevitable. So we don't expect Tinubu to be around in 4 election cycles. Obasanjo, Atiku, all the guys who have ruled us almost since the 70s, if not even earlier, all of them will be gone. And a new generation of politicians and leaders are going to take over. And it is my perspective that the older generation, for fear of the political climate, and there was always the tendency that politics is only for like, it's a dirty man's game, politics is a dirty game. And so the people who felt they were clean are like, I beg, I don't want to be involved in dirty game. Make I just do my day. But what that left was a vacuum that was filled by the so-called dirty people. And hence, now that we are on the verge of politics moving from one generation to a next generation, and this next generation now might hold it for another 40, 50 years. It is now our own responsibility to make sure that people who think they can do things that are a bit better than what is currently happening start trying to take the reins and trying to find out how exactly do we make things work. Now, why the House of Representatives, or why the legislative branch instead of the executive branch of government? A few things. There are very few executive branches available. If you're a Lagosian like me, it's the executive branches available to you is either you're going to be governor, or you're going to be president, or maybe local government chairman. Now, in my understanding of politics, the local government elections are almost like non-existent because INEC doesn't organize local government elections. The state electoral bodies are supposed to organize local government elections. And I don't know if you've been part of any local government elections. If you think INEC elections are bad, go on.
we did one in Edo State.
Go on.
Just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. If you think the federal government elections are bad, try and state government. So if you know you are not going to you are not going to pay, you better just stay out of that type of elections if you are not, at least for now. And if we are going to be realistic. I don't think I am qualified enough to be the governor of my state. I think it takes a lot more involvement in politics, improving yourself to a certain level. And so your federal constituency, even though Alimosho is the biggest federal constituency in the entire country, but your federal constituency is a more manageable place where people already know you. And to be a representative is really just to be a bellwether, is to understand the experiences of the people who are living in that area and to share that experiences in the lawmaking of the country. But far most importantly, in the kind of democracy that we practice, the House of Representatives or the legislative branch is actually the leading branch of the democracy. Because the idea is that it is the people who rule, and the people rule through their representation. It's like we can't get everybody to vote on every issue. It's not like, for instance, now the big debate in the House of Reps and in the Senate or in the whole legislative branch is state policing. We won't be able to get the entire Nigeria now to do an election on, do I want state police or don't I want state police or what? So the idea is that the representatives are the guys who actually they call the executive the executive because they just execute whatever the National Assembly has told them to execute, even though now we have it like reversed now. The executive seems to have taken control of all the powers and the legislators are just not, they are not part of the problem. So one of the reasons why I want to be in the legislature, because the legislators are the guys who are supposed to be telling, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do this. But now it's the opposite. It's now the executive that's telling, at least in Nigeria today, it's now the executive that is telling the legislator what to do. So yes, I think the legislative branch is the most important branch of governance, and the most profound change will come if we get the best legislators into the office. They have subpoena power over the executive branch. They should have constitutional control over the executive branch. And that is why even like last week, one of the House of Rep members was saying that they should summon the president they should summon Tinubu, our president, to the legislator so that he can answer to the insecurity issues and the budget issues that we are facing, even though the APC people in the House didn't allow him. They didn't even allow the motion move before they shouted him down. But that is the kind of thing that we should expect for a working legislative branch.
That's profound. So what do you think you can do better? Like, how am I going to put these words now? What are you going to do that you think will be better than what your predecessors have done? What are you going to do differently from your predecessors?
Anytime I'm asked this question, my first answer is to tell the truth. I think one of the biggest problems, not just with our politics, but with our life in Nigeria totally, is our inability to tell ourselves the truth and tell other people the truth. And the thing about lies is that it then affects every facet of the politics, because once you lie, you are compromisable. As soon as you tell this lie, you say, I'm a good person, and everybody knows you're a bad person. The person that wants you to vote yes on a bill or no on a bill, they will just say, that your lie will go expose you. And then
I think that's one of the major problems in the Nigeria politics today. So,
and it also doesn't help coming into the 2015 elections, our politicians are used to making ridiculous promises that no sensible people think it can be fulfilled. One of those promises was at the point when Buhari was coming in 2015, the naira to the dollar was $1 to 216 naira. And he was promising at the time that if he comes into office, he's going to make it $1 to 1 naira. And you hear that kind of thing and you're just like, what kind of ridiculous lie is this one? As in, if you're not even lying, it's such an obvious lie. It's the same thing that Tinubu did in 2023 coming into the office. He said that he will give us constant power in 4 years. Like, I have a PhD in energy systems engineering. It is impossible to say that Nigeria is going to have power in 4 years. It's such a ridiculous lie that you just wonder, like, do these people just lie for the sake of it? Is it that they can't? Because it would be more realistic to tell the Nigerian people that, hey, we need 100,000 megawatts, or we need 100 gigawatts of power. Currently, we are on 14. This is how much it's going to cost. It will take us 20 years to get there. Now, of course, the average politician is like, if I tell the Nigerian people that it will take us 20 years to get lights, nobody will vote for me. But is it not far better for you to tell the truth than to lie, get votes, and not deliver?
So are you saying it is not possible, let's say, a working system? Is it not possible for an administration to provide constant power for us as a nation? or under
It's-
4 years? Are you
No,
saying
no,
it
it
is
can't,
not?
it's not possible. 4 years. How about now? So
I heard someone, I don't know, I just pray I'm not wrong. So it's what I didn't do research on it. It's what I heard. I heard they said, now Nigeria, we are no longer relying on a national grid, that it has, is that the right word to use? Like, is it, we have distribution, we have transmission and generation. So one of the branch has actually been given to
two of the
okay,
branches.
2 of the branches.
So I'll break it down
I
for you.
don't-
Why?
yeah,
Let
so-
me break it down to you. So you're right. It's distribution, transmission, and generation.
Mm,
Generation and distribution has been decentralized. It wasn't even done under this administration. It was done since 2015. It was Jonathan. That was one of the makes Jonathan one of my favorite presidents. It was Jonathan who decentralized transmission and distribution, and he not distribution and generation, and he left transmission to be still controlled by the
federal.
states.
Okay.
Not when I mean the state, I mean the federal
Okay.
state, not the state. Now, the problem is right now we are on maybe about 13 gigawatts, right? If we really want constant power, we should be on nearly 100. Because there are two problems with power. Is that the more you generate, the more you consume, especially for a state like ours. What I mean by that is, now a guy we know they buy AC before. Now when you don't know say constant power,
go buy AC, buy fridge,
go buy AC,
yeah.
go buy fridge.
Yeah.
So his consumption was basically baseline, but now that he now knows there's constant power, he's going to tap up. Same thing with manufacturing. If you the manufacturer, you use your generator manufacturer, you manage fuel, once you don't know say there's constant power, you boost up the machines, production is going to increase. So you're going to need to do production. But that's not even our main problem. In my mind, there are two ways to get constant power in Nigeria. The way we are doing it, which I think is the wrong way, which is that we are buying it from foreign sources. We are buying all of our generators, and then we are getting the foreigners come and install it for us and hopefully train people that will make it work. Now, that is the quickest way to get power. The problem with that is that when we are buying these large generators, maybe in the world, maybe the main manufacturers of this kind of generators, maybe they're like 6 or 7 companies. Those 6 or 7 companies, they have a production of 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
So if I put in an order now, say, okay, I want to buy 100 megawatts generator. It is most likely that Siemens will tell me that it's not going to be ready until 2030.
Okay.
That's when because we are not the only ones buying generators. Singapore is buying, everybody's trying to buy. So people have put in their orders for years that they are, because they are not producing, as in, they have a production line, and the production line can only produce a finite number of generators in a single month or in a single day. And so when you put in your order, it takes about 3 years just for your order to come. When, assuming everything goes perfectly, you ship it, you get in within a month or so, which is unlikely considering the supply chain problems that we have. But let's even assume you are that efficient, you have Dangote level of efficiency. You get to the port and you will now have the power. And I know a lot of people that their generators are in the port just trying to get cleared. They've not gotten 6 months to see the port. But let's even assume you don't have those issues, that you can clear everything within 1 month. You are already mobilizing to the site in which you want to install. Installation itself is another 6 months to 1 year. That's if you are efficient, you are spending money like no man's business, all your laborers are already there. So and that is just the generation aspect of it.
Okay.
The same thing is going to happen. So the generator focuses on just generation, either generator, either if you are using solar, you are using wind, whatever you are trying to use to generate. That's just the generation part. On the distribution part, they face their own. They are going to be they're acquiring meters, they're acquiring transformers, they're acquiring low voltage and high voltage transformers. All of them needs to be purchased. So at your best goal is you can maybe get, on the average, if you are really efficient and the government is doing everything in their power to get you energy, maybe you get 5 to 6 gigawatts every 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
So if you calculate that, you can see, and in my mind, that's even the wrong way to go about it, because it puts you in a very bad geopolitical security. Your energy security is not as good as it should be. So there are two ways to think of energy security. When you think of energy security, you're thinking about how distributed are your sources, meaning how much are you taking from gas, how much are you taking from oil, how much are you taking from solar, how much are you taking from wind.
Okay.
You want it to be in such a way that it balances out, that if I lose one side, I can still
Yes,
secure on
yeah.
other sides. But there's a second part of energy security as how much dependent, if I go to war against China today, how much damage can they do to me? If I'm importing all of my energy, all of my generators from China, they know all of my sites, they're installing malware inside my generator plants, that the day I just decide that I'm fighting with them, they can shut off my grid in one day.
Yeah.
That becomes a significant problem for me. So ideally, if Nigeria even wants to do it right, it's going to shut off every foreign purchase and try and do everything homegrown. Your generator is really just a magnet and iron. So Faraday's principle is the real way we are generating. There are a few ways to generate electricity. The major way you do with your generator is to put a magnet inside the coil and let the magnet be turning, right? So what you really need is, I need a magnet, I need magnetic material, and I need to be able to mine iron and construct it into useful molds that I want and into coils. Now we have a lot of iron mines. We can do our iron mining. We should be able to do our iron mining locally. We should be able to do all of our construction manual and build it with our homegrown science. Get the best minds from Uniben, the best minds from Unilag, the best mind from ABU, and get them together inside a field research labs and fund that research until everything is produced locally. And those things that you can't even get locally, you have a strong supply chain that you are not 100% dependent. So it's not like if I go to war against this person, I'm worried that I'm not going to get energy. But as long as you are buying it, it's not really yours. You're almost renting it. The day they want to shut it off, which is in my mind one of the main reasons why we don't even have energy today, because I even feel that we are also being sabotaged by foreign forces. So a Nigerian government can go and say they are paying for generator. The French government say, if we give this guy generator, they will start to make chocolate by themselves. I bet delay the process, cancel this, scatter, bribe them, scatter everything. Because it's not in their best interest. They might pay lip service to us that we want Nigeria to have light, but it's a lie. It's not in their best interest for us to have light, because the dependence, we reduce the level of dependence we have on them. And hence, you can see how the incentive structure is poised for us to have as meaningful light as meaningless light as possible, so that we don't do our manufacturing locally, because we don't have electricity to do manufacturing locally. We don't do our food processing locally, because we don't have the energy to do our food processing locally. And you can see how that can snowball. So if you even ask me, you might even take longer, because you should invest those first 10 years into R&D, into research and development, getting those minds, getting those things to work, even if it means privatizing all of the mining spots, saying, okay, this company, you're in charge of mining ore in Ajaokuta, you are in charge of mining ore in Enugu, and you now say, okay, let's see how these mines are coming in, privatize the mining, privatize the actual processing, because you can mine it, but you need to clean the iron ore, you need to form it out of steel, and doing all of that. So in my mind, if Nigeria is honest with themselves, you need a real, and this is the problem with lack of honesty. If you are not honest, if you are saying you are going to do it in 4 years, you cannot put out a real plan as to how you are going to do it in 4 years, because it's not possible. But
so sorry, I'm cutting you short. Don't you think it is also because of your level of knowledge, at least in this field? That is why you can say this, because it is easy for somebody to say, okay, I want to run for presidency without having any of this knowledge, and be like, okay, I can just put out, what's it called, reforms, if that's the right word to use, to set this up without even having basic understanding of what you're saying.
That is part of the problem with our politics. You can't be saying I'm running for president and saying I don't have basic understanding on energy. I don't have basic understanding on education. Those are like some of the primary responsibilities of government. And I'm not saying that you should be an electrical engineer, you should have a PhD in electrical engineering. No. But you have advisors. You don't come to president without a team. Even in my small office, if I don't build my small team of, okay, if you don't know this thing, get people. No president can tell me he does not know these things I'm saying. It's not true. As in, somebody has worked with them in the office. If you are anybody that cares, and explain to them step by step, even better than I can ever do, how this is going to work. Now, they might not come to the public to say this is what is going to happen, but the assumption that it's because they don't have a PhD in electrical engineering, that's why they don't know these things, is not, I don't buy that. I don't think any of them, maybe one or so, but I don't think they are terribly stupid that they can't figure this thing out, that I'm breaking one news that nobody has heard before. Anybody that is paying attention to this thing, even at an undergraduate level, can verify this information very quickly. It's not something that you need. It's not something that you need a PhD to understand. So in my mind, it's just an excuse. In my mind, why they don't tell the truth is because it might prevent them from winning elections. And winning elections is what is most important to them. So if you say, if you guys say, hey, what are you telling me? 20 years, 50 years to build energy. You want me to go tell Nigerian people saying that 50 years where they get power? Make those Gen Z stone me, it be like saying that they mad. 4 years. In 4 years, there's going to be light everywhere. In fact, you won't be able to sleep because light will be blinding your eyes. And I think that's how they come about that.
Like, I mean, they can get the light, as you said, in maybe a little above 4 years, because when you have calculated, but we are not looking at, we just did a little SWOT analysis here right now. So we are not looking at, okay, this is not the best way because of economic threats.
What I'm even saying is this. We have 13. You have to see it like this, right? We have 13 as installed capacity. Installed capacity is the size. If you sum up all the different energy plants we have, Egmin power plants, Erin Jesha, what's the name of the dam in Niger State? Kainji Dam. If you sum up all of our energy infrastructure, we have about 13 gigawatts of installed capacity. But installed capacity does not immediately translate into production capacity because you have losses. Often you have about 40% of losses that come from different channels. Either losses inside the machine itself, losses during transmission. So that you have losses. So ultimately you have almost 8 gig of that we can actually now push to be produced or to be consumable. Of that even 8 gig, our transmission grid, we divide it into, so 8 gig, this 8 gig we are talking about is our generation. Our transmission grid can only take about 5 or 6. So we can't even transmit all of the generation that we generate, which is often what is half of the cost of our grid breakdown. When you say the grid has fallen, is anytime they try to inject, anytime they try to inject anything greater than what we can, everything is going to fall. So yes, right now we're even producing much more than we can transmit. And there's, as I've said, even if we are just focusing on the transmission side alone, it will take us at least 12 years before we get to the number that we are going. And there's investment along generation, there's investment along transmission, there's investment along distribution that we are not putting together. No president in my lifetime, at least since I've been really following politics I'll probably say 2011 was when I really started following politics, has put to me, in fact, the only person who put to me a proper plan as to how to get energy was Jonathan, which is where he decided that, okay, one of the strategies is to privatize this thing so that it can attract investment. And it has, because a bunch of people over the last 10 years have invested a lot into the energy. In fact, that's how our generation jumped up. Davido's father has invested like 100 gig. Dangote has invested. I hear Otedola is investing. And they are just, everybody is just really lost. Investing, there are 100 megawatts here, there are 50 megawatts here, there are 200 megawatts here. It's growing but many of them are doing invest and use. So Dangote, for instance, when he invests, he don't already get places where he won't use. Now the leftover, he won't send to the grid. Many of them, that's in my mind, in fact, as a businessman, I would advise that as you are generating it, because you have the problem again that the population is not very used to paying. So half of them are complaining that even when they give this money to the discos, because the way it happens is the gencos are the generating company.
Yes, Genco, yeah.
The generating companies pass their electricity through the distribution channel and they sell it to discos that they have agreement with. Discos are the distribution company. So you have Benin Disco, for example, here. There's Ibadan Disco. There are 2 discos in Lagos. There's Echo Disco and Ikeja Disco. And those discos are the guys who buy. When those discos buy, as in, they don't remit money to the gencos immediately. Gencos are complaining that they are not getting their money from discos. Discos are complaining that they are not getting their money from customers. And so there's so much delay on payment around the process that many of the guys who are investing into generation now are just like, let me secure my market first. Because if I start to depend on this government market, if you don't invest this money, I'm not going to see the money back in time, which is also fine. As long as you are generating, we will get to where we are going to. But it's the timeline. It's the fact that we are not honest with Nigerians as to how long is it going to take.
So we are saying it is not possible. So for the viewers, you are saying it is not possible for us to generate electricity in 4 years or in
no,
8
we can't
years.
generate. What we are saying is constant
yes,
electricity that every house in Nigeria is going to have 24 hours
24
power.
hours.
Bro, 8 years.
So even Peter Obi cannot do it.
Is he joking? Is he joking? Let him bring his plan. If he wants to show me, let him bring his plan.
Okay. That's impressive. So talking about your party, PRP, who is the president? Is there any presidential candidates from the PRP?
Yes, our presidential candidate is Donald Duke. He used to be, he was the first governor in this Fourth Republic, or the first governor of Cross River State. And I think he was a very good governor. I think he was one of the best governors that we had in that period.
Okay, so what are the plans? Because I just heard of him for the first time. What are the campaign
I'm not
plans?
politically active. So, Donald Duke was he was a very good governor. At least popular opinions of people who lived around that 20. He came in 1999 and he was governor of the state 2007. And in that class of governors, he was one of the best. He was one of the best governors. I think he will make a terrific president for Nigeria, mainly because I don't particularly like politicians that spend too much time inside politics.
Okay.
I think, as in, when I mean inside politics, I mean actively holding office and running for office. I think you should be in a political party always, but holding office for all, like we have people who have been people like Wike, for instance, have been holding office since 1999. There's no year since 1999 that Wike is not holding either an elected or an appointed political office in Nigeria.
Okay.
I think the problem with that is that it narrows your bubble. It keeps you away from the common man. Because you are in that entourage, you're in that convoy, you are there. So for after some time, you don't even get any friend from the street again. You are just completely divulged. I think a good politician does 8 years, maximum 12 years in political office, retires to business or teaching or something, reintegrates himself with society. Then maybe come back after another 4 years or 5 years when you have touched grass. And I think that Donald Duke has touched grass. He's not been, last time he was in political office was in 2007. This is 20 years later. Right now, he's not like one of these people. So he has touched grass. He still knows it.
So would you say that's enough reason for us to vote? Or would you say that's enough reason to say he might be a better president than the rest candidates?
So I'm one of these people. One of the reasons why I will not vote for Showore, even though he says a lot of good things, is that I like people who have shown working. I don't think you make a good CEO if you have not been a department manager first. I think that if you want to be president of Nigeria, go and try and be governor first. Go and hold the Senate position. Let us see somebody even Peter Obi, even Tinubu, even Donald Duke, we've seen them. We can look back. Tomorrow now, they go see, they tell you, like, Peter Obi was on Shewon's program and they were asking him, why didn't you build schools? Because if he never be governor before, we will go use, who go actually, why he no build schools? Because it doesn't have any antecedent and you can't really judge if he will be, is the person that is like the parable of the servants. Now the person where don't they useful in the small way you give them, where you go come add more, give them. Don't be say the first thing where you want to do. Now say I want to be number one man. I think that rules some candidates out.
Okay.
If you are going to run at this, I'm talking about presidential. If you are running for House of Rep, now here is a small stepping stone. You can start with that one and then move on to a bigger position. So it rules out some of the candidates. Now, of the candidates that are there, so let's break them down. Number one guy is Tinubu. I think that Tinubu I thought he was so old. In the 2023 election, I was fully obedient. I wanted Obi to win the election. As in, you can go to my Twitter. I was every day now. But I stopped being obedient. I started stopping from the end of the last election because I didn't like the way the last election ended. I don't think Peter Obi fought enough for his mandate. I know he took it to the Supreme Court, but there should have been a lot more fight. But in my mind, what was the final key nail to his coffin was when he left Labour Party for ADC. I think that in fact, it was so disappointing to me. I can't put in words because you did extremely well. You got to Labour Party. You took a party, say in my federal constituency. In the 2019 elections, Labour Party had 111 votes in 2019 for presidential election. You took that party from 111 votes in my federal constituency to 78,000 votes and won my federal constituency. Right? You built that momentum then. Let's say you are rigged out. I'm one of the people who believe that a lot of shenanigans happened in the last elections. And let's assume that I understand him not trying to go my way and starting a protest. It might divide the country. It might cause loss of life. So even though I would still I've preferred him to do that, I'm even more sympathetic. I'm a bit sympathetic to the argument that, hey, my political ambition is bigger than lives. If it don't become, say people go, they enter street, make sure that you shoot them. I want to be involved in that. Well, I'm more radical. I would prefer people have to fight. I don't think freedom is something that you get for free. As in that, yes, bloods. There's no freedom that has been gotten that's not on the bloods of people. I know it's easy to say if not my blood, but it's how I believe. So he might even be right on that, and that's why I didn't say that was his death coffin. But now you are in the position where it was clear to even the blind that you are going to run for office come 2027. Right? Even the blind, as it was clear. Does anybody think that Tinubu in that position is going to start changing parties? He's not going to start following Atiku to another party. Who should be following who? At the very worst, you go out and start building your party. And then if Tinubu is frustrating you, you are crying out to your people, your 6 million people like me and saying, we are trying to build party. Tinubu is frustrating us and see if Nigerians are not going to rise up to the occasion. Right? That's at the worst case. But in my mind, there was even enough room inside Labour Party to you are trying to solve Nigeria's problem. Say as Nigeria get problem reach.
But a party problem
and you say struggle to solve
a common
party problems. It's not showing me a sign of somebody that is really thinking deeply and saying, I'm going to really solve this problem. It's you're just seeing it as a game. 4 years, I'm going to just come because if you are really serious about it, as you lose that last election, bam, you are putting these guys are not serious. As in, all of them, sometimes I believe all of them are in the same WhatsApp group and they're just deceiving Nigerians. Because Say, for instance, now we are talking budgets. We are saying there's a fake agency in budgets. You think about these things and you just think that something is wrong with Nigerians. If there's a fake agency in budgets, you and I are the biggest problem. We are the ones that should be putting shame on our face. We should just put shame on our cap and just be writing it. Because these budgets got passed in March, right? We are talking about the problem in June. So for 3 months, the representatives, who is their responsibility to find out whether there's something wrong in the budget, they missed it. Let's grant it that they are corrupt and they have been paid, so they missed it on purpose. Let's consider to them. We have journalists. There are journalists today that are assigned to the National Assembly, that's their beat. That's the only place they report to. That's their office. They are there to cover National Assembly stories. That's their work, as in they work for channels, but their channels post them to National Assembly. Say, just be following National Assembly up and then be breaking stories in National Assembly. None of all those entourage of journalists picked it when it was submitted in November, because they passed it in March. It's not like they submitted it in, it's not like they submitted it in March. They submitted it in November and they passed it in March. You didn't pick it in November. Even when it was finally passed, you didn't pitch it in March. So if these two people didn't start fighting each other, we're not going to know. And we get journalists that are assigned. Then we now have people like Peter Obi and Atiku that are saying they are opposition party, where they supposed to get kitchen cabinets, where their only work now say anything where National Assembly they pass, it is our job to read it from head to toe, to pick out what is bad, to show what our party will do differently. They themselves no pick out. Then you and I, we call ourselves citizens. We say we get budget. They gave the budget publicly. Now, only after the two criminals started fighting themselves, the three, I don't know how many criminals are there, started fighting between themselves, that's the only time we picked it. It shows that none of us is really caring about the civic responsibilities of what it takes to be self-leading, to be a democracy. And if you are saying you are the leading opposition party and the country is passing a budget with that kind of power, that kind of falsehood inside, it is more on you, to me, than it is on the party that passed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think because that kind of thing, if you are a working opposition, how about now? You're not going even supposed to reach the pass where you go pass.
You map them like. Yeah.
So, in my mind, even Donald Duke, I consider him all the politician of that era. They are all 60 and above. This, in my mind, though, if you ask me, if I'm talking to young people like you and us, anyone will win. Now their problem. In my mind, I will want Donald Duke to win. I think of all of them, he's going to do the best job. But any of them will win. Now their mind. But now us, we shouldn't make the Peter Obi mistake. Win or lose the next election, we should be on a focused, narrow mind on how do we retire these people post 2027. As in everything that we win or lose, we will all give them as our fathers.
Yes.
And this now on our own, as in no problem. Make now still not time. As in we never ready, we never really ready. We just even know. We never even know. You never even know your House of Rep member. So we consider we give them that one.
Yeah.
But the goal for us now is that none of us are children anymore. People I don't get picking. As in, all of my mates, now me be last to they get picking for all of my mates. Some of them don't get picking within the entire university. The ones very quickly born. You now, you don't day veg. If you never get, you don't day quarter two. By the next election where they come, if you don't get picking.
Absolutely, yeah.
So their time ends in 2031. Tinubu, Atiku, Donald Duke, all of them, their time ends in 2031. But for us to be on that, for us to be those guys, we need to now start that. I'm happy that this election, based on the candidates I see, almost has the highest number of young people. Young people are waking up, as in Randy Peters is running. There are different young people all over the place. We have different young people that are running. I even have people that are that are younger. I'm younger than 40. I know that there are people, the limit to you too young to run says from 32. So yes, we should now be seeing who are those guys within 32 and 50
Okay.
that we can now start seeing. And it won't happen if we leave the political parties to the 60-year-olds. Because now from the political parties, the candidates will come. So if you say, I know they vote for primary, I know get any strength, I know they join political party, now why 70-year-old man go they lead you? It starts with, by the end of this podcast, if you hear and finish and you're inspired, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying I would like you to join PRP, but if you say PRP is not for me, it's NDC, I like Peter Obi, it's NDC, I want to join. Go ahead. Even if you say it's APC, you want to join. My father has been an APC member from beginning. If you are honest in your heart and you are not there to steal money, go and be a good minister, a good person in APC, and start changing it from within. Start making sure that the average age of party registration in these parties is under 40 years old. And then see, by the time you have worked in the party now for 4 years, you start from today and you work till 2031, see whether there will not be a complete change and shift in the people who we present. Because the problem with it is this, right? Which is really why I got involved. Once this power moves to the next generation, it's nearly impossible to get it back. Go and ask the people of my father's generation. If we allow it move to the worst amongst us, wicked on they bring in Peking now.
Yeah.
And if we allow it, if we all of us sit down quiet, we know they do policies, we allow them transition into another set of. Now, so we self go they do, go they complain like our parents. So, now so the way they complain, but there were so many good people. See all these great people here. Why none of them have become president? No. Now the worst people amongst us too in our own generation go turn president. The only way we solve that problem now is we get involved. And I'm not saying that you are going to agree. I know people think that they are going to agree that their political party is going to do everything that's going to make them happy. No. Your political party is most likely going to be corrupt. It's most likely going to have things that you don't like. However, it is you going in there that starts changing it. You can't change it from the outside. It has to be changed from the inside. So even if there are things you don't agree, try and change the things you don't agree. And the things that you agree with, try and reinforce it. Make sure it climbs to the top. And I think that's our only solution. We have a very short window, as I said. The next 3 election cycles, we no go dey talk article. All these people that we've mentioned, virtually everybody running for president today is not going to be politically relevant in 4 election cycles from now.
Absolutely.
So our plan, I'm not the guy who thinks of, I don't see politics in 4 years. I see politics in 100 years, 200 years. As in, I see politics in what happens 200 years from now, which is why you don't, as in, the goal is what is going to happen 200 years from now, where the people who are going to be here, they never born their father. And so, in my mind, yes, Donald Duke, PRP, I think PRP is, if you ask me, if you have PRP is not on all the ballots. They don't have candidates in all the offices. But I think that I've been observing political parties for a while. I think PRP is probably the one that will give you your most honest candidates, mainly because their method of selecting candidates has not been fully corrupted, which I think is what Labour Party was like that in 2023, but I don't think NDC is like that in 2027. I think that Labour Party was like that in 2023 because most of the political vultures did not believe that anything can come out of it, so they don't send the parts. They still did their PDP and the IPC, they all do things. But now that we show them the magic in 2023, all the vultures have descended inside the party now. So maybe Obi is a light. I will still in my mind, Obi for me is, I'm worried. I know that a lot of young people think he's the Messiah, but we've been through this Messiah thing before. In
Messiah
2015,
syndrome.
we had a Messiah in Buhari. It was
Yeah.
young people. Buhari became president off the back of young people. It was young people in 2015 on Twitter and that brought Buhari into power, and it was a disaster. I don't think Nigeria has a single Messiah. I think that you need a whole class of elected people that can solve the problem. And if you are not electing a full class, if you are just electing one person, I think that one person is going to have the power to fight the cabals, to fight everybody. I think you are overestimating the power of what one person can do.
Absolutely.
And with what has happened with the test that God gave Buhari, Obi between 2023 and 2027, in my opinion, he didn't pass. And so that makes me a bit worried.
More worried.
Because say what you must about Tinubu, which I think is bad on many things. I think he's authoritarian on many things. You can't deny the fact that he has the ability to get things done. He has the ability to plan for a strategy and do his best to execute it. I can't say the same about Obi. And forever, Obi's good side is that he doesn't seem to any honest person that he's a thief, that he's going into the office to get cars or get money or looking how to fund the next political. He does not plan it. He doesn't look like someone that's planning to be a godfather for life and looking for all the money to amass so that he can fund political campaigns from now till infinity. However, that good side seems to be hindered back by his inability, in my mind, to take the political process seriously. And that too might also translate, even if he becomes president, to not being able to be. Is the difference in Jonathan was a good president in his heart, but was he an effective president? As in, and I fear that Obi might be a good man, but not an effective president. And so, I don't know, in my mind, I don't think much will change in the next 4 years. I cede the next 4 years to anybody that wins it. I'm focusing on the young people running for office now and how they are getting to power and how do we strategize 2031 and beyond.
That's really amazing. That's really awesome. So now let's go back to, because we had a little digression. We'll digress a bit later, but I want us to exhaust all the questions we have. So why did you decide to run through a small, because I see you're hearing your
PRP?
Yeah. So in fact, this is the first time I'm hearing.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So why did you decide to run through a small party instead of our normal conventional parties?
So PRP is People's Redemption Party.
Okay.
Even though it's the first time of you hearing it, it is currently the oldest party in Nigeria. It was set up in 1978 by a guy called Aminu Kano. If you've ever been to Kano, the name of the Kano International Airport is Aminu Kano International Airport. It was a very popular northern politician in the First Republic. I think even in the Second Republic as well. Now, they have a history of primarily supporting the poor. They are supposed to be a poor man's party, as in they claim to be Talakawas. Talakawas is the commoner, the commoner's party, because in a time of the ideology that existed prior to this was more of, it wasn't progressive as conservatives as we're having now. It's more of the imperialists versus the people who support the commoners.
Okay.
And when I was thinking of joining, of course, I initially wanted to join the APC. Mainly because I don't think like there's a good party or a bad party. I think it's the people who constitute the party that make it good or bad.
So I was about to come in there, but I wanted you to answer this. So we'll just finish. We'll deliberate more on that later.
That is the people who are in the party that make it good or bad.
Okay.
But then the problem with a party like APC is that their success is what makes them the weakest. Because we can't tell somebody that has been successful through a certain means. This is how he became powerful. This is how he became rich. You're not telling him this way, your way of becoming rich is not good. Come and change your ways and become rich with another way. The guy go to look you and say, let's say they mad. As in, this is how I did it. I grew from where I am, from a guy begging on the streets to become a billionaire with this method. Now I'm a billionaire, now you're now coming, you way they just born last week. You're going to tell us that, no, so that way you became a billionaire is not good. You need to change. You need to become better. You all look at you and like, bro, I don't know what you're saying. And so it's like, when you go into a party like APC, their ways are already set. As in, they are not only a major loss, or if something happens to them, like what happened to PDP happens to them, before they can now start thinking, oh, where did we make the mistakes? Where can we change? So if you are trying to preach a change message, you are not preaching it from inside an establishment party. That is not going to work. Yes, and it's not going to work. The establishment, they came to be. Maybe if you were joining APC in 2011 when they were CAC or CPC, and you're now working your way when they never established. But if you want to not join them now in 2024, 2025, or 2020, when I wanted to join party, you are likely not going to make too much of a difference. You are just going to be there, and they are more likely to change you than you are to change them.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't explain PRP. That doesn't explain why I didn't go for the conventional guys. Aside from PRP being the oldest party, the price of the House of Representative form in APC was 10 million naira. So if you want to run for House of Rep in APC, it's 10 million naira. If you want to run for the House of Rep in NDC, it's 5 million naira. And that's with other monies, though, because NDC will tell you that you still need to pay some other money to the party apart from the form that you pay. And in PRP, it was 700,000. Now, even a party like APM, that is also not a popular party, was charging 4 million naira for their forms. And in my mind, it was a thing of principle that I think that forms like this should be affordable for the average person.
Yeah.
At least when we say the average person, I'm not saying like someone that just graduated from school last year should be able to pay 700. I don't expect it. But I expect that if you rose to be the deputy principal of a public school, you should be able to afford to buy a form.
I'm sorry for cutting you short. In fact, the price or the money should not even be the main criteria for selecting. So it can be that even a fresh graduate from the university can buy the form, but it doesn't have other requirements or qualities. So money should not be...
Exactly, but now once you've put that form price now at 10 million naira to buy House of Rep form, you have excluded 99% of the Nigerian population.
And you have excluded people with
in my mind, that's their goal. My goal is that you are excluding other people that can actually come and like make a difference. You can. There's a podcast I was talking about that. Say for instance, somebody that has grown to be a staff sergeant or a warrant officer in the Nigerian military. He fought Boko Haram in 2009. He fought ISWAP in 2015. He's now retiring now in 2023 or 2024 after achieving the rank of staff sergeant. Right? He might make a good representative because he knows the terrain. He has fought in the... But does he have 10 million naira to buy a PC form? As in, where is he going to sit? Him, that his whole salary went throughout the time he was serving the army. You know, reach 400K any month. And so you then see why, like, yes, in my mind, I want to win an election, but I think that it is far more important the way you win an election than actually winning the election. How the process in which you used to go by. If now I use 700,000 to buy form, I don't even mind investing 50 million inside the campaign. But I know, say, okay, I paid 700,000. It reduces the, if I say, for instance, if I say I want 10 million now to buy form, I go meet, I don't get 10 million. I'll go meet one godfather, say, I'll go and meet your papa, say, so how far now? I need 10 million to buy form. You say, no one now. But the minute I collect that money from him, tomorrow now, when he come tell me, say, how far that vote, you go vote like this, so because my company didn't involve. There is no, so in my mind, the way they priced their forms was very attractive to me. I felt like these people, their House of Assembly form was 120,000 naira. I'm like, these people they want the average Nigerian to be involved. And to me, it was far more important than I represent a party that I know wants the best for the average Nigerian than a party that, yes, you will win election or you will get plenty godfather to give you money, but you'll be useless in the office. Once you enter there, They go don't tell you before you even enter, saying, you know what, as you dey enter this office, 60% of everything where they enter this office, you go give on to us. And the remaining 40, you and your constituent people feel they share them. You don't want to be in that kind of situation. It's better for you not to win than to win and just be useless. And that's how I thought about it, and that's how I arrived at PRP.
So just a little digression. Do you think, what is the, how do I put this question? What is the influence of a party in you winning an election? Do you understand the question? Like, how much influence does it has that you join maybe a renowned party? What influence does it has on you winning an election?
If you join your chances obviously are much better in a known party, because in winning an election, you need two things. First of all, when people are going to vote, especially for the House of Rep candidates, there's nobody's face. Tinubu's face is not on the ballot.
Okay.
The first face is not on the ballot. What is on the ballot is the party logo.
Yeah.
In fact, it's only now, in my mind, it's only in 2023, maybe 2027, that a party like PRP can win election in Nigeria. Prior to that time, it was impossible. Mainly because the voter education is going to require to get all the 100 or 300,000 people that I want to vote for me in Alimosho to know my party, to know the party logo. It doesn't take 1 year to build it. It's only now with our new media sources that now we can rapidly. That's in my mind. It was one of the successes. That was one of the things I learned from the 2023 election. That because of our new media spaces, like what we are doing here, like what we can do on Twitter, we can rapidly build name recognition for yourself and for the party. Before the really advent of the internet, it was
purely grassroots.
So if you never get person for every street where go they preach, it was nearly impossible. So that was why those big parties were omnipotent. Like they can't, because everybody already knows them. They've been building their legacy for years and years, and they've gotten party recognition. So party recognition is important. Also, there is the name recognition.
Okay.
People are not going to vote somebody they don't know. It's impossible. It's like you can't choose option. It's the famous psychological test. It's like it's one of there's I think it's a psychologist. No, I think it's actually a neuroscience doctor called Sam. What's his name again? Sam what? But he did a TED talk where he was saying that there was no free will.
Okay.
He said there was no free will because, and his explanation of saying there's no free will is that he'll ask you, say, if I can give you a ticket to fly to any city in the world, which city are you going to fly to? And then everybody gives their options, Japan, Singapore, Dubai, whatever it is. But he now says that you cannot, no matter how many cities you can select, you can only select from cities that you know.
That you know and that have,
If it's not inside the set of cities that you know, let them give you 2 million tickets. In only those cities you go call. You're not going to call a city that you've never heard of before. And the same thing in politics. Now, candidates where you know you go vote. If you know only 3 candidates, you're not going to go and vote a 4th. And so, name recognition and party recognition was the two most important things in running for office. And so, going through one of those conventional parties at the time, my campaign is going to put this into practice. But at the time, I felt like it was impossible because you had to go through conventional media spaces, and you needed money, you needed full mobilization.
Yeah, mobilization.
But I think now with the internet, you don't need it as much. As in, you can really, like, one viral clip from inside this podcast, the whole country can know you for this. As in maximum in one day, one viral moment. All of Twitter, all of TikTok, before you know anything, everybody is talking about you. The guy inside the village in Borno already has an inkling of who you are. And I think that it's not as important as much with the conventional parties as much. They still have a lot of sway because, say for instance, in Alimosho now, I have 1,545 polling units that are within my federal constituency that I'm trying to win, which requires 1,500. In fact, if I want to do it perfectly, it requires 3,090 polling agents. So 3,090 people that I can send to every polling unit. That's two people per polling unit. If I want to get, and a party like APC would easily give you that thing.
Put that number.
They run a build that list for a long period of time. But you in PRP now, you go after your first campaign finish, you go start to define polling agents. Say, okay, who will be my polling agent? So it's not like it is insignificant what a conventional party gives you. But as I've said, what's the point of winning an election if you are not going to effect any change because your party doesn't want change?
So now, what are some of the problems you have identified in Alimosho, and what are the possible ways you feel you can solve them?
Alimosho problems are Nigerian problems. Right now, we're dealing with a significant waste problem. You can't move more than 200 meters at a time without seeing a heap of refuse on the side of the road, in front of houses. It is, I can send you pictures, you can see videos. It is ridiculous.
On the median and all of that.
On the median now, it is refuse they use to bus stop. As in, you go know as in we they use refuse to bus stop. Every bus stop gets your own pile, as in every bus stop gets your own pile. As just they come like this. Now refuse you go use go market, now refuse you go use go. It's everywhere. It's not as in you go on the whole street. And if the bus stop safe too near, we they use refuse, divide one bus stop where bus stop supposed they will they will go use refuse, just arrange them. And so we have that, and if you see some things like that, and you're just like, Haba, does it really take like a rocket scientist to clear wastes, as in to clean drainage? Does it take like? And if you go to like my House of Reps Instagram page, I'm not even saying, okay, go and solve the problem. Maybe that's not your job, but at least talk about it, mention it. Tell us what the strategy is, what you are going to do. But no, if you go on Instagram, happy birthday, honorable this. I think happy married life, ambassador this. Nothing, you don't go even know, say na rep member. You go nothing say na birthday shout out the Instagram and the TikTok channel day for you. Like, is that why you are elected? APC chairman is doing birthday today. Happy birthday, chairman. This, it's just like, so. Waste is a significant problem. I think we are behind on, and that's not just Alimosho, but the nation itself is really behind on modern education, and we are not preparing people for what the future is going to look like in even 10 years from now, much less like 30 years from now. We are not preparing the workforce. We are not preparing the society for what it's going to look like. So education is a problem. Waste is a significant problem. The general lack of accountability among the political class. And it's
sorry to cut you short. Is it really fair? Because everybody has Tinubu in their lips. Like, Tinubu is the problem of Nigeria. Tinubu, but a typical Nigerian do not know, including me. In fact, I don't know my House of Rep. So, what is going on? And don't you think this is where they are so irresponsible? Like, if you're saying your House of Rep will post birthday. So if we are holding them accountable the way we are holding Tinubu by the balls, don't you think they will be more responsible? Yeah. And what measures do you feel can be taken so that more people, the common man, can have a responsibility that it is not just the president. Yes, I mean, start from the president, but these people we have just close by, people that represent us, should be held accountable. Like, how do you feel we can pass these messages?
When I think about it, I think it is not We are on the verge of a new generation, as I said earlier, and I'm often very careful. I try to be very careful in how I even criticize. I know I've criticized a lot of opposition, but it's not often my nature, because I understand that there are some things that they really have no control over. And one of those things is that this system we are practicing isn't natural to us.
Okay.
You see, like before democracy came to the people who gave us democracy, they went through stages. For most of the West, which is really the birthplace of democracy, really started in the old Roman Empire. They were the first people to start having a Senate and having like a republic, and even the idea of left and right all came from the old Roman Empire. But it was after a lot of, they had gone through a few emperors, and they were like, okay, no, we need to differentiate what a citizen is and what rights a citizen has. And then now say, okay, the citizens can then rule. And then they built it up from a monarchical state, as a state ruled by kings and emperors,
Monarchy.
to a state ruled by Congress and Senate and House of Reps. But it was through a lot of education and knowing and going through the process, going through the
Step by
steps.
step, yeah.
Nigeria didn't have that advantage.
So just passed down to us from the start.
So we were okay, we were all right. I mean, when Benin now, we had our Obas, he had his ways, he had his council of chiefs, he had high chiefs, low chiefs. We had a government that we were used to, that no matter as it be, the Benin people know how to hold their kings accountable.
Okay.
As in, it was the Yoruba people knew how to hold their kings accountable. But when colonization now came into the picture, and the Europeans didn't want to deal with the king system, they wanted to bring in their own ministers, their own Lord Lugard types, and the Harcourts, the Mr. Vine Harcourts, the guys who came in, who started from the first and started bringing us there. They started slowly bringing their style and eventually imposed their democratic style on us. And so the lessons that we should have learned as to why do we need a rep member? Why do we need a local government chairman? We never really learned those lessons. So it was just superimposed, and we just do our government, as in we don't even know what's in the government they're about. It's only now, after like 3 generations, because it's basically only been like 3 generations since that time.
Okay, yeah.
Of us, like, so it was like people like, maybe you can say 4. Like people like Herbert Macaulay were generation 1, then you can then the Owls and the Zigs and the, what's the guy that was this guy here? Anthony Enahoro.
Yeah.
As in, those are the guys that were generation 2. Then we are basically in generation 3 now, the Articles and the Tinubus and the rest. We are now basically the 4th generation. It's only now, after like 4 iterations of us doing this thing, we are now trying to figuring it out. We are the guys now, it's our generation now that we are more likely to hold our rep accountable than the generation before us, because many of them were it's more likely for them to go and meet their Oba and meet their chief than for them to actually really go and start holding rep account. No more rep. They don't even join political party before you say you want to go and start talking to rep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in my mind, there was a government and education gap, and many of these things cannot go. In fact, I got dragged. I can't really say I got dragged, but on one of the last podcasts I did, I was saying that one of the biggest problems that Nigeria have is our lack of writing.
Lack of
writing.
Okay, writing. Okay.
And then I was asked that, am I saying that Nigerians, that we don't have any written language? And I said, yes, that I don't see the evidence of our written language. And of course, that's customs there on the internet. Even though I still mentioned that in CBD is a written language that now, from a lot of comments, seems to have originated in the former Eastern region. There's a full-on argument between Cross River and Akwa Ibom people versus Igbo people as to who was the original creators of the language. Cross River and Akwa Ibom said they are the guys who own the language. Igbo people are saying no, or all part of the same region. It was us that owned the language, because apparently in CBD was like a written, was like, it wasn't. So the argument that brought me here was, I was saying that our lack of technology, things like our electricity that we don't have, really originated from the fact that we don't write. That you don't get Faraday's principle of electromagnetism without Newton's first and second laws. And you don't get Newton's first and second laws without Euler's work on mathematics. So you have to have like all those things. You need to have millimeter, centimeter. You need to have like a real writing, exact writing skill that now allows you grow and build on technology till you get to it. But if you are like the Yoruba people, that a lot of our traditions were oral, right? You can imagine the Chinese whisperer tells you how much losses will go on from generation to generation. That even if I figured out electricity, if I don't write how I did it, and I'm just trying to orally pass it to the next generation, by the fourth generation, it might be totally lost, because oral transfer of information is very,
messages
it creates
lost.
It creates a lot of losses. And even the, what's the exact word? I'm missing this one. I'm going to get dragged again. But the kind of language that in CBD was, it was not alphabetic, in that alphabetic languages are trying to get sounds.
Okay.
What's the name of this thing? Hey God, how can I forget? There's a type of language that doesn't get words. It's the symbol is often representation of almost a sentence. So you see like you can have A, and A is just for A, right? But you can now have A that means the gods are angry. You can have a symbol that's
something like shorthand.
It's shorthand. So once you write it, it doesn't mean a voice. Just by saying it, it means the gods are angry. It's one sentence written in one symbol. And that is how in CBD is. It's like, it doesn't pronounce words. It doesn't pronounce, not words. It doesn't pronounce like sounds, and more like its own symbol represents a sentence, which makes it far more difficult to implement in science. Because it's not like, what is nanometer?
No voice, no consonant,
no consonant. No, even the small things that you need in measurements. Because the thing that makes science is the repeatability of experiments.
Reusability,
Repeatability, that I can measure. If I do an experiment, I can do the exact same experiment again and get the exact same results.
Okay.
Right? And before you can do that, it's like making cake. If I mix 2 ounces of flour, 2 ounces of sugar, 2 ounces of lime, I'm going to get this pancake. Right? And if I do it the same time, I'm probably going to get the same pancake. However, if I'm not writing it down, that is 2 ounces. If I just use equal, as in I will not be able to repeat. And so
because there's no standardization.
There's no standardization. Yes. And without having alphabetic language, that standardization that is required for science to flourish doesn't really exist. And so the same thing applies to our politics, is that we didn't create any standard systems, and now we are just learning along the way, because we were superimposed a foreign system on us, and it's only after iterations, after multiple practices, that we are now saying, now we don't get now we don't even, so maybe by next day, by the time your child they born, you go down to a House of Rep member, because it's not something that is totally familiar with, and not as strange as it was to like my grandfather, way now king in wings House of Rep. Exactly.
So with this you have said, it only means that politics is going to get better. True, as we are iterating, we are getting more better results.
Well, I hope so, because I'm one of these guys who are not. I say things that are a bit controversial, but I think Nigeria is one of the most successful countries over the last 100 years. that it's we see politics often just over our lifetime, and it's a very anything will go happen in your lifetime don't already go happen before you are born. You can't change much over a 30-year, 60-year, 70-year period. You really change much over like 100-year, 200-year period.
Millennium. Yeah.
As in, you need like a million is 1,000 years, but 100 years, a century.
A century, yeah.
As in, because like let's take 100 years of Nigeria now. 1926. Think of what Nigeria was like in 1926.
So you see a difference.
The difference is like beyond like words. It's not like words. We do a lighthouse. What are we saying? We don't even get roads where cars feel really pass like that. Talk less of any road. Third Milan Bridge was not built. Nothing. As in Lagos, Benin Road never did. Nothing. All this thing where they see where they say the road. So people they complain say road no good. 100 years ago, road no day.
Road no day. Yeah.
I'm writing a book about my father, and in the book, he went to University of Calabar in 1976. He didn't end up going to the school, but he spent half a semester there.
Okay.
And he was describing how he got to Calabar from Lagos. And he was saying that there was no road to Calabar when he was going. That if you were going to University of Calabar, when he was going to University of Calabar, you took a car, you took a bus, it took you about a full day to get to Oron. When you got to Oron, you will now take a jetty or a boat.
A boat, okay.
And then go across the sea to Calabar. But there was no single road that connected the Nigerian mainland to Calabar. That's not 100 years ago.
That's less, even maybe
that's
less than
76 years. That's 50 years. That's 50 years ago. That's 50 years ago. Yeah. And so if you look at Nigeria over that timeline, like this whole place where we did now, bush, bro, it's not be bush. It's worse than bush now. Jungle.
It's jungle. No, it's just a geographical
it's location. Just a geographical location. Like, they don't even they call this place city. No follow for a Benin Empire, and I just transit location. If road even did this area. And so over that period of time, we moved from people that were living in huts and not having like solid roads. So now people that are now using JLE and and living in fancy fine houses. That time, that 1926 where they talk. These people have had electricity since 1700. So that's almost 250 years before that time we never even smell them. We just they build and maybe they don't even bring the first one come. So you can see the gap. So we often get trapped in the fact that we compare ourselves with the European countries, but we are not even, especially in terms of technology, in terms of like our senses, in terms of our culture, we might have a far more developed culture, right? Even our writing, even our words, we might have those things that are developed. But in terms of technology, we know their level. Like,
okay, but so is it that we are making excuse for us? Because I know there are a few countries like, is China among Singapore? We at least our independence is far more than that of Singapore. Countries like,
in my mind, they had nothing to do with independence. It's how much writing did you do? Every knowledge of your civilization is stored inside this language. The Egusi way we talk today. Now, if we be person name, when I first invent the Egusi, since then we started to call them Egusi. As in, because there was a day when it was first used. It will not be, there was one time when they first used, and there was a day when they first started to use Egusi.
So that is why we have people like Mongo Park saying they discovered River Niger, because even though our forefathers knew about River Niger, but there was nothing to call it.
So the right thing is like, so even when you are like India was colonized, like we were colonized, but India still has its alphabets. It still has its own alphabets that they are using. So they are not writing, it's not like us. They're not writing Hindi in English alphabets or in Latin alphabets like we are. They're not like the Yoruba or Igbo that's being written in Latin alphabets like we are. Because they had their writing, even after colonization, they can go back to the first people to put zero in mathematics were the Indians. Zero comes from India. They added it to the corpus of mathematical knowledge. Arabs are ahead of us because they were writing already. They had their own language. So even if you get invaded, you can always go back. When you go back to your writing, you know where the civilization stopped. And you can just pick it up from there. Unlike us, that even the ones where we know safe, we they lose them.
So I think that was why countries like Egypt and Greece were able to preserve a lot of their ancient culture and all of that because of the writing.
So, but this is my own like take. The writing isn't all that perfect. It's only good for technology. And now that we are coming to like the ends of technology, what I mean by the ends of technology is that if you ask me what my biggest global worry is that right now we have the ability to completely destroy the whole world. One person now can destroy the whole world. And now it's virtually every sector of technology that is possible. Initially it was kind of possible in physics with nuclear technology. That was the first one that showed us that, bro, as in one nuclear weapon will wipe out the entire world. Now it's increasingly more possible in biotechnology. Because now we don't invent viruses. A lot of people, I personally believe COVID-19 was created in the lab and the Ebola most likely created in the lab. And now we have the ability, one good bioengineer now, if you really just chop Chris, saying won't be madman, he can enter the lab and synthesize the virus that will wipe all of humanity, fastest spreading virus that you ever see, as it can pass from human beings just by passing each other and you to wipe out the whole world. That is not possible in bio. Not even in computer science is not possible. What our artificial intelligence has the possibility to do. We now have so many ways of destroying ourselves, and it's only possible because of technology. And so a wise civilization might decide that it's better for us not to write. Yes, we will not be as developed as we should be, but we also not have the powers that give us the ability to destroy ourselves. And it might be the wisdom of our great forefathers that if we want to write, we go write, but we know this thing because the problem with writing is that it gives you the ability to remember, but it also stops you from the ability to forget. And sometimes it is very important to forget. As in, forgetting might be the best thing. Like, I'll be very happy today if we just forget how to do AI. I'll be glad. I'll be one of the gladdest people. Like, we've forgotten how to do AI. And then I'll be one of the gladdest people who forget how to make nuclear weapons because it's not doing any world good. So yeah, sometimes it might be good that you get something and you just forget it. But once you keep writing and keeping the history, you lose that ability to forget. And so yes, there is a place for writing. And it's disadvantage. But it's disadvantage sometimes. Now that we are now on this side, and when they were writing like 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, maybe they never even foresaw that I use this example a lot. There is an idea in mathematics called perfect numbers. A perfect number is a number that its factors sum up to the number itself.
Like 16?
No, 16 is not one of them. 6 is one of them.
Perfect numbers?
Yes, okay. 6 is a perfect number.
Okay.
The factors of 6 are 3, 2, and 1.
Okay.
If you add 3, 2, and 1 together, they sum up to 6. The next perfect number after 6 is 20. Right? Okay. Its factors are 10, 5, 2, and 4. So 10, 5, 4, 2, and 1. They sum up to 20.
Okay.
Right? But once you get past, I think the next one is like 490 something. bro, as in, once you get past, in fact, the first three perfect numbers were discovered maybe in 320 BC. The next five took another like 1,000 years.
Yes.
By the time before we started doing AI, we're only on 51 perfect numbers. After we don't reach, at this time now, we don't reach trillion in terms of numbers or quadrillion in terms of numbers. In fact, now we are basically one of the big concepts of our cryptography that is leading blockchain is based on the idea of perfect numbers. Because of how hard it is to find the next perfect number, your blockchain is often counting to how to find. So when they say you solve the problem on the block, it's often like you don't find
a perfect number, something like that.
on some of the blocks. So, and that idea started 320 BC. That was almost 2,500 years ago. That's when Euler started working on the idea that we are using today for blockchain and cryptography. That's the chain of like abstraction and thinking about the issue that has brought us to the modern applications of it. Euler had no idea in 300 BC that it was
it can get to this.
to ever be used in anything called cryptography.
Yeah, cryptology. Yeah. That was really deep. So let's bring it back home for some of the people that cannot get what we are saying. So now tell us about the agenda, because it means you have a 7 points agenda.
Yes. So number one is, as I said, piracy. We need to get the waste off our streets. It is important that we talk about it consistently, and even if it's if it has to be a consistent project of mine, it is important that people in Alimosho stop living inside refuge. I don't think maybe it's because I have lived outside the country for a while. I think that cleanliness is truly left to godliness, and you can't have like people can't expect more of themselves if this is the situation, if they are sleeping and walking right beside refuge when they wake up and when they go to bed at night. I think it's important we do that. We need to work on our education. I'm one of the people who think if you leave me, I will even scrap WAEC. I think there's an idea in psychology called the simulacra. The simulacra is an idea that comes from we as human beings have a tendency to continue the rituals long after the reason for it is done. So something happens, we create a ritual for that event. Like, let me use the education example, for instance. Let's start with universities. The universities existed for a time before printing press. You have to imagine a time before printing press where, say I'm one of the writing cultures. I'm a carpenter. I've become an expert carpenter. I can build chairs, tables, and a house without using a nail, like they do in like Japan, where you have, and you've learned all those skills, you've perfected it. Now you've written a book about it, right? From your experiences as working 70 years as a carpenter. There's no way to mass produce it because there's no printing press. So ideally, if they find it valuable, they take that book to a monastery where those monks used to be, and those monks by hand will now rewrite everything that you have written to preserve the knowledge. Right? And maybe if they are lucky, they write like 7 copies or 8 copies by hand. And those are the 8 copies of that book that exist in the entire world.
Yeah.
Now, to mass produce that information to other carpenters, we have to have a place where we can keep those books that carpenters from around the world can come and gain the knowledge that are in those books, because they're only 7 or 10. Right? And so the universities were built. Usually universities were built around their libraries because they are the guys who they source those books that exist, that knowledge that only exists in like 8 or place person. They put it in one library, and anybody that is looking for the deep knowledges of the past needs to make pilgrimage to the campus to go and gain from that book, learn from the faculties that are there. The faculties are like the lecturers, and then now make the pilgrimage back to implement those ideas. Right? And so you could see how crucially important a university was in the pre-printing press era.
Yeah.
Like there was no other way to disseminate information apart from you holding these big institutions and libraries and then having that information available there for people to make pilgrimage to and go and learn. Right? And printing press came and it didn't really change the overall dynamics. It just meant that more books were possible, so you can really like redistribute the universities. You can have a lot more. Rather than having only 7 universities that have this book, now you can have a lot more. You can even have 300 universities in Nigeria alone, and globally maybe 1 million universities across board, right? And that was also good. It means that pilgrimage in those days, that's the only university was the university in Mali, Timbuktu University, but probably the only university in Africa. So if you are coming from South Africa, you have to make pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Now you could just do it in University of Cairo, or you could just be in University of Cape Town in South Africa, and you don't need to make that long pilgrimage, even if you need to leave your village, right? And that was still fine. But by the time we've now entered the internet era, right?
You can be in your bedroom and get knowledge.
So the real need to make a pilgrimage to a particular university to pick up information or to meet a faculty is more likely for you to get a good response from a university professor by sending him an email about one of the paper he has written and find that paper in your room, in your bedroom, than even when you go to any of these universities.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, but we have kept the ritual. Because everybody knows that, if you want to learn, you have to make pilgrimage to campus. As in, even though the points, we cannot print books, we cannot get them on our computer, but because we have now done 1,000 years of making that pilgrimage, the simulacra has now presented itself upon us. And now that we're on the verge of a new generation, it's now time for us to really open our minds and try and see where are we in the simulacra and where can we break out of it? Where has the ideas now bigger than this? So when I say if you leave it to me, I can scrap what I as in, it's because now we should be having personalized knowledge.
So are you saying presently formal education is not important?
No, I think it's past. I think it's past. In fact, I think it's now becoming a detriment to the society in that it's not teaching people the basics, right? You have a secondary school graduate now that cannot differentiate between yam leaf and rice leaf, that cannot differentiate between beans leaf and corn leaf, that cannot on his own survive if he's left. If, say, for instance, as I'm going back to Lagos and I get kidnapped and I finally get out of the bush from the kidnappers and I find myself inside the bush, can I survive on my own for 4 days? Will I know what food what crops to eat and what not to eat? Can I make fire on my own? Can I know how to quickly make a weapon and hunt animals that will keep me alive for the next? Those are supposed to be the basics of your education. First, before we even start teaching you maths, physics, chemistry, we need to be able to teach you first how to survive.
Surviving skills.
And then even before we even start doing maths, physics, chemistry, you should be able to plant food, identify food, know food, as in know the seasons of how it takes eggs to hatch, how it takes cows to grow, know all those basic survival skills. And then once you've been able to do that, we can now then say, okay, we now want to progress you to modern science and writing and learning how to write. And you're not even having people that even the basics that say, okay, let's even talk about you don't have any survival skills. Do we even have the reading and writing skills? I tell people that my calculation for who is the most literate person is not about how many degrees you have. Degrees are useless to me. What's the most literate person based on me, the mathematical calculation for me that defined for a literate person is how many books have you read? Okay. Plus how many books have you written,
published,
multiplied by the number of languages in which you used to write them. So you used to write them or read them. So if I, for instance, have been able to read 100 books, I've been able to write 2 books, But out of that 100 books now, I read one in English. I read half of them in English and half of them in Russian. I'm even far more literate than somebody that read 100 books and all of them are in English.
Absolutely.
Like, so in my mind, that is the most important thing of literacy. It's not about like, I have a PhD in nuclear physics and you can't write one book. You can't even read a book to proper understanding, exam malpractice and lecturer bribing. Usually it's a complete waste of time and energy.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, so education is important. Digital literacy is also very important in my agenda. It's like, how exactly do we, there is a limit. So I'm one of the people that I went to a university. I went to a private university in Nigeria, Crawford University. It's owned by the Apostolic Faith Church. And the Apostolic Faith Church is one of the churches in Nigeria that used to preach, maybe still preaches, that you shouldn't have television in your house. And on campus in those days, they didn't used to allow us, we ended up rioting and gotten television, but in those days, they didn't used to allow us to have televisions. If my 100 level or so, by 200 level, we're not great against it. Like, we're not going to feel watch match. Are you high? But now that I'm a bit older, I'm like, bro, those guys knew what they were saying. There is a level of like technology that it becomes worse. It becomes bad for you and not good for you. It makes you more reliant instead of being self-reliant. You're not totally reliant. You're not totally dependent. And we need to teach the people of Alimosho and more of because my politics is not about like my father's generation. Yes, I know they need to be involved and they need to participate. But I don't think any of them can look themselves honestly in the face and say, we left Nigeria a better place than we met it. And I think for that alone, they should be willing to take the back seat on the Nigerian political space. Because if they are being honest with themselves, and I've had interviews with a lot of them, they will tell you the truth that the Nigeria in which they met is far more better than the Nigeria in which they are going to live to us. And for that now, my own primary responsibility is that by the time, who knows, I might die tomorrow and I might die in 70 years' time. But it doesn't matter that if I'm lucky enough to live long enough, that by the time we are handing over to the next generation of people, we will be living a better Nigeria than the Nigeria we met.
That's really profound. So now let's digress a bit into the generic Nigerian politics. Now, because this is where we are even going to get most of the controversial and viral videos from you get. So what would you have to say about this current administration? The Tinubu administration. I would even go further to say, compare it with the past administration. Which do you think is better?
Well, also one of the conversations that I had with my dad that we recorded, and we settled that we thought that the best Nigerian president that we've ever had was Obasanjo.
I think quite a number of people agree with that. And
that not even just the work that he did in his 8 years post 1999, but even the work he did in his 3 years while he was military administrator. He was the one that did Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. He did a lot of like Murtala Mohammed Airport. A bunch of stuff happened under him in the 11 years he ended up ruling this country. I am very hesitant to criticize leaders, mainly because if he easy, you say for runner. Maybe I don't deal them now. As in, maybe I don't deal them now. As in, because you see their decisions, you don't know the options they had in front of them where they made these decisions. And so I often want it to be like, let posterity be the ultimate judge of who did, because there's a way. The Bible says there's a way that looks good unto a man, but the end of it is destruction. Yes. We might be looking at one particular guy saying, I am be the worst of the guys. And ultimately, I ain't even see what we know if see. Now, and that's not to say that I think that Tinubu's government has performed well. I don't know. I don't know what well is in the Nigerian sense. As I've said, it's difficult to see Nigeria over a 4-year timeline, over an 8-year timeline. You're a good leader of Nigeria should be seeing Nigeria over a 100-year timeline, over a Nigeria that his grandchildren might not even see. That's the Nigeria that he should be emphasizing. And something that might be good for us over 4 years, like we were saying with electricity. It might be good for us to quickly get electricity to buy it over the next 8 years. But it might not be good for us if we are going to have a war with China in 100 years' time and they are the ones that have installed all of our capacity. And so there's a lot of it that, in my mind, when you're elected as president, House of Representatives, member, senator, you have 4 years with yourself, your conscience, and your constituents. I might say you are a terrible president. And in 50 years' time, I know how many people thought that Jonathan was a terrible president.
Yeah.
And now we never even do 20 years in Jonathan. Where everybody don't say, Jonathan, we miss Jonathan. But that time now they carry placard 2012, Jonathan must go, bring back. And so, in my mind, you look at a guy like Tinubu, and in my mind, aside politics, if I take politics out of him, I see him as a great man. I don't think anybody, not just him, even Buhari, even Jonah, anybody who has found himself to be the president of Nigeria, especially on their circumstances, many of them were come from, they don't even get, some of them, if the popular narrative about Tinubu is true, is that he didn't even have father and mother to take care of him. He first hustle, come off for Osun State, go Lagos State. From Lagos State, he hustle, carry himself, go abroad. From abroad, he hustle, carry himself, come Nigeria. From there, he hustle, become governor. From there, he hustle. Bro, forget whether I'm a good man or bad man. If he easy, run him.
So that's something what of emulation.
Yeah. So, but yes, it doesn't make him a good person. It just means that we can take people in abstraction and just say, you want to judge people the way you want to be judged. And especially for someone like me that's making my way into politics, there are options that might be in front of me that it might not be popular. Like I feel they talk about scrap WAEC. You know how many people jobs you go if you scrap WAEC?
Absolutely.
Do you think those ones are going to like you if you scrap WAEC? And you might be thinking, that's what's going to be beneficial in 100 years. But in the next 4 years, the WAEC people don't carry placard, come to the office, come close the office down.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, I try to refrain, like my general argument against people like Tinubu, Obi, all of them. This not, in my mind, this next 4 years not their last one. May they do everything with their generation feed do, as in their generation feed do. May they do anybody, may they do anyone, may they do. But bro, by the next time anybody is coming up, we want at least a 50-year-old, even a 40-year-old guy to be president. If 40-year-old guy feel run money points, where money point no blue. As in, we feel run Flutterwave, see they deliver trillions of naira. If 40-year-old self go feel run Nigeria, nothing will happen. We go feel run them. And so, in my mind, you guys have done what you can do. As in, all of them went to university in the 70s, in the 50s, before, as in, all of them, none of them that is running for president now is not older than my father. Right? It's all right. It's fine. Like, you people are getting your chance. You people will take account to whatever you say you have done over the last 40, 50 years. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, let that be between you and your God. At this point now, it is now time for us now to now step in. And we too should remember though, that we too, our own judgments go come. Whether waiting we take good or bad, now up to our own food, God and our own conscience. And the people that will come after us that will write our history. Because none of these people are going to write their history. Now us go write their history. Yeah. As in, now us go write their history. So now how we take Siam. So in my mind, I try to refrain from criticizing any government and just say, if he's doing his own, if it's his best, we'll look at him like that.
That's a very, like, even all the questions, you see all the questions, he just answered it generically. And it's even, this is the first time I'm hearing this type of response. Because you are seeing it from a politician's point of view, and it's really amazing. Now, just for the sake of let me get another point. What's your take on insecurity? Seeing it from a political point of view, you as a politician, is there any way you feel like security can be improved in Nigeria? Like I said, just to get score more points.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately I don't see a political solution to our insecurity problems. I think our insecurity is really sad because it's a crisis of our general community and society. It's the death of the family. Like, as we said, like Nigeria is not poorer. Nigeria is not poorer now than it was 100 years ago.
Mm.
There is no way you can say that the Nigeria today is much poorer than we were in 1926. In 1926, as we are talking about. There is a very good book by, I think it's William Clapperton, second edition of the expedition of William Clapperton from Benin to Sokoto. It's a book that he was writing. It's almost like his journal, his diary. When he came on the second expedition to Nigeria from Britain. He was one of the people that the Queen sent, I think in the 17th century. And so he normally journaled and write, okay, how he entered this place and how the king took him to this place because he wanted to. So, and in his journal, he wrote something that I still sound very profound today. And it has been buttressed by another Portuguese expeditionary that they walked through the whole of Nigeria. Nobody stole one thing from them. Said even for the Clapperton's book, in the talk and say this thing where I experienced for this place, they no bomb me when make a try for London. Say I go carry my load. When he come, he go carry load. Give and they go say there were people that are willing to collect the load. They carry the load. They go not go along and carry load. Though. They go collect the load from here and they go carry the load. They go they follow them from place to place. That citizens of Nigeria just being a welcoming guest. Carry for place. He say if you try that thing for London. Say as they carry that in bag, that bag don't disappear. And that is how sane. As poor as we were in that time, we had a society that was cohesive enough. We're not even talking about people coming to kill people and carrying them to the forest. We are saying they will not even steal a stranger's thing. And so when you ask, what is the difference between then and now? Is it that because we are poorer? No. It's that there's a collapse in our value system. That has put wealth, technology, above human life.
Power.
As in power, above human life, where we don't, as in we know they fear your papa again, they fear the shame where they bring to your family name, say you be terrorist. All that thing is now secondary because there's been a completely breakdown in our society and so I don't see how the only way politics does that is to rebuild our sense of personal pride. Even if I did die, I no go fit still. Even if I no get, even if I did die, say like this, I don't die. I never talk me 30 days, but I go thief your thing. God, first take me. Until we have that kind of mindset that we had 150 years ago, where even not even 150 years ago, there was a time in my parents' Nigeria, where if you travel from this Benin Port Harcourt road, if you reach Pantani, if you see all those women where they sell plantain, if you don't see them for shop, you go carry your plantain, you go put the money there. And nobody's going to steal the money. In this, we're not talking of 200 years ago Nigeria, we're talking in the last 50 60 years.
Yeah.
And so what has changed? It is that our entire culture now revolves around, because we lost our sense of identity, because our sense of identity seems to have been lost. It's that loss of identity is what has now translated in my fellow Nigerian go see me for road as I did go hustle, go carry me, go behead me for front of camera. Does that, what do you think? I don't think politics has the power. If you ask me how is it, we need to bring back our social values back. We need to bring back our religious values back. We need to bring back the idea of family. In my mind, it's one of the trappings of, I think evil has been coming into this world, and if you are the local African traditions, I don't know too much about. Like I'm planning to go back to school to go and study Yoruba history, just because I want to know a lot of the history of the religion, the culture, the gods, and so that I can be more articulate on topics like this. But I'm very conversant with the Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity, and they have an idea of how the world ends. And it's that evil rises in the world until somebody has to come to squash it. And we can see the trend. We can see the foretold prophecy of how a similarly kind of righteous society is falling to hold themselves responsible, as in families are holding their children responsible. It's not like your child is doing Yahoo now, you are hailing him because they drive GLE. As in, it's not like now the first son no get value for your family anymore. Now person wey get money pass go determine wetin happen. If we strip ourselves of all our value system and make money our highest value, we shouldn't be surprised that people will do anything to make money.
Absolutely. I only want us to absolutely, because this is also another conversation, because I wanted to talk about corporate social responsibility. We don't have, like you were saying, part of your agenda is to curb wastage and all of that. The common Nigerian would drink pure water and just dump it on the floor. So I just could resonate with a lot you are saying, so that the podcast will not be so long. We'll just end it. We'll end it here. So any final words for any young Nigerian out there, for anybody, any final words?
I think to young Nigerians, I think we should realize that time is the most significant resource. I often say, when people say time is money, I think it's an insult to time, because I can find money as I'm leaving your studio now. I can find money on the road as I'm going out. I can't pick up 1 naira. I can't pick up 1 minute, 1 second. I can't pick it up anywhere. So time is our most valuable resource, and we should do our best to use our time more efficiently than ever trying to pursue money. Second thing is that the world is going to get very desperate over the next 20, 30 years. And being as capable as you can in terms of, can you take care of yourself if you are left alone in the jungle? Do you know how to farm? Do you know how to be capable in doing things that are outside, like content creation and making noise on YouTube? Are you a capable person? This microphone that you're using, do you know how the working principle is? If you are left on your own, can you teach your child if technology disappears tomorrow? We should try and be as competent as possible. And most importantly, we should lose every value we place on money. As in, I get that we are now in a society in which everybody wants to travel abroad, everybody wants to snap by the poolside, everybody wants to get to Dubai. But understand that even the poorest Nigerian today is richer than the richest Nigerian that lived 100 years ago. So even as poor as you are now, you still get facilities where they are available to you. This phone way if you use kings, Oba of Benin, no fee use them in 1926. They no born and well. As in even the smallest palace phone where you fee use. Absolutely. And so be happy and be glad with the privilege you have. And the less value you place on money and the more value you place on time will give you probably a more successful life. And because this is being a political show, do not wait to get involved in politics. And it's not like you are going to agree with your political party or your candidate on every issue. But if you are going to church every Sunday, you are paying tithes, you are paying offering, then you can extend a similar kind of responsibility to your political party You know, you don't need do too much. If they just say, okay, we need 2,000, want to rally here, join the party, pay that 2,000, consider it as your political offering, because the rewards of you participating far exceeds you just staying at home and complaining.
I enjoyed this session so much. Like, it's a lot. I've learned a lot, and I believe the viewers has also learned enough. So we'll be rounding up this session right now. So guys, what do you think about this video? Just drop your thoughts on the comment section. Like, I mean, it's a whole well of knowledge. As you can see, we span across a lot of feeds in just about 2 hours or so on this podcast. So drop your thoughts on the comment section, and don't forget to like, follow us on YouTube, turn on your post notifications so that you can always get updates anytime we release an episode. And again, there's somebody that sponsored this show, Endless Recast. When I was saying it the first time, my phone fell and it's falling again. So Endless Recast is they are the company that's sponsoring this show. So if you want to sponsor an episode like this, reach out to us on our official email address, talkpointstudios@gmail.com. So for now, bye. I will see you on the next episode. Let's tell the viewers bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.